From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. We all know that the more successful you are in life all comes down to education and what you know. And there's a new program that's being launched, or has launched actually, here in Western Massachusetts with American International College. And I'm so very fortunate today to be joined by Michael Dodge. He is the Provost at AIC to talk about this program. Michael, thank you so very much for joining me. I appreciate you coming in to talk about this program. What is it?
Absolutely. Well, thank you first so much for having us today. So as you mentioned, at American International College, about 3 years ago, we really tried to improve our degree completion program, or our early ed programs, and bringing in students from high school, from what we might know as dual enrollment, where students can take college level courses while they're still in high school. And so we started a partnership with Duggan Academy, which is one of the schools in Springfield, about 3 years ago, called The Pathway to College. And it was really an opportunity to be able to provide high school age students in grades 9 through 12 an opportunity to take college level courses that would help them be successful, would set them up for college, and would also help them think about themselves as a college student.
So since the launch, about 3 years ago, what's the response been like?
We have had an amazing response. We actually, this semester and the fall semester that just ended, we had close to 300 students who enrolled in the courses with really good success and passage rates. We actually, as a function of this, and because the relationship with Duggan is going so well, we went up for a designation with the state of Massachusetts called the Early College Program. It was about a year-long application process, but it allows us to access some funds, and it also allows us to expand the program to more students at Duggan. So this fall, we had about 200 and close to 300 students who took it. They took somewhere in the ballpark of about 150 or so classes.
Oh, wow.
And so it has made a pretty significant impact in really helping them set the foundation for their future.
So how did the whole statewide program come about? Was it local school district superintendents itching for new ways for their students to learn, to prepare them for life? Or was it the other way around, where the colleges turned around and said, we need to better prepare our high school students for life on campus?
Yeah. So for many years, lots of colleges and universities really across the U.S. have offered up dual enrollment programs. And there's been a lot of interest because in trying to help kind of cut down on costs, help students get through higher education faster, and really provide students an option to see themselves as a college student. The state of Massachusetts several years ago started this program. It's a partnership in a couple of state agencies between the Department of Higher Ed and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Really came together and said, we want to elevate this under a previous administration. And they said, we want to put some dollars behind this to help schools and universities and colleges really be successful. So AIC saw the opportunity and we said, we want to do that. And we want to do that with our partnership with Duggan. And so lots of colleges kind of across the state have adopted these.
Okay.
We have a distinction of being one of the ones in Western Mass to be able to do that. And so we got that distinction this past summer. So this is really our first full year as an early college program.
So of all the schools in Springfield, why Duggan?
So it turned out, I mean, I think what we know is relationships matter.
Okay.
And so their then executive principal, Mike Calvanese, and I, he approached me about doing some dual enrollment about 3 years ago. It was an area where we had seen some interest from students, but he was really committed as part of the Duggan school to really elevate that and to offer more for students. And so we got to talking, had some quick conversations, started a program with probably 75 to 100 students, and over the last couple of years have been able to grow it to almost 300.
Now, what age groups start? I guess let me rephrase the question.
Sure.
I have to imagine, to take advantage of the program, it's in a tiered level,
Yeah.
like the younger students, kind of an overview, and then the older students are actually embedded.
Yeah.
So what is that? What is the from first learning about it to being on campus? What's the process?
Yeah. So with our early college and the Pathway to College programming that we do, we actually have students in 9th through 12th grade who are taking college level courses. Right now, all of those courses are happening at the high school at Duggan. But as we've done in the relationship, as we've kind of grown and matured, what we've done is we've invited those students to come to campus for visit days, and that will continue to happen. So students will start learning about it in the 8th grade with information sessions for families and parents and students to be able to for them to understand what this looks like. Our program is organized around 3 tracks. So we have an educational studies for those who might want to go on and be teachers, those who are interested in criminal justice, law enforcement, law, support, social services. And then we have a 3rd track in really allied health. So those that might want to go into health science careers, so to be a nurse. And so students take courses each year as part of that. And as they get into junior and senior year, they're taking more of high school. They're taking more and more courses. And then the goal is when they become seniors, the majority of their classwork will actually happen right at AIC's campus.
Interesting. We are coming up on our first commercial break. We've got plenty more to talk about, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me today in the 22 News Plus studios is Michael Dodge. He is a provost at American International College, not American University. That's in Washington, D.C. Unless you want to go to Washington. Springfield's a much nicer place.
I think I'll stay in Springfield.
Exactly. We're talking about getting high school kids better prepared for life by offering college classes to high school kids. Just before we went to break, a thought came to my mind, Michael, about I remember being a freshman in high school and being absolutely petrified in high school of the upperclassmen. What is it like taking a high school kid and moving them, a sophomore, junior, even a senior in high school, and moving them onto a college campus? That's got to be an overwhelming experience.
Well, I will say we're not going to talk about my own high school experiences because the thought of being shoved in a locker is a little bit too much.
We must have had the same high school experience.
Exactly. No, what we're really lucky for with our partnership with Duggan is that we've actually hired on their teachers as our faculty because they're experts in their own realm and in the work that they do. And so they are able to help their students kind of make those transitions and be thinking about what it means to be a college student. They really provide some really amazing wraparound services at Duggan to help students. And so they're doing lots of counseling and lots of support, and they're building in study time. And they're really elevating and talking about what it means to be a college student. And so I think in some ways it's also helping demystify and really kind of make that college experience seem less scary.
When you think of less scary, you have to imagine the teachers at Duggan, they've been through it. They went to college. They've got their teaching degree. Toning down the fears of the students. Because, again, I have to imagine a freshman, sophomore in high school is petrified. So, going through the process of here's what class is like. And I remember saying it to my kids, it's a step up in responsibility, a step up in maturity. You have a lot more freedom in college. But it doesn't sound like it during this program for the high school portion because you still have to go to class. You still, get on the bus and go to school. So there's not as much freedom. But again, I think correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like it's really preparing the student to manage their time better. Am I on the right track with that?
You are absolutely on the right track. I think we see them as our college students or kind of college students in training. So they get an AIC email address. They get all of the things that a normal college student would do. They get to spend time on our campus. They got to tour the bookstore this summer. They got to go to other places on campus. So we really try to help kind of demystify that college, what going to college looks like. Because we know for our students and for students in Springfield and the surrounding areas, if you haven't had a lot of experience with college, it can be a scary place. And at AIC, we were founded on access, opportunity, and diversity.
Right.
And so really caring about the community and that sense of belonging. And so while college might be that scary piece, we try to make it a little less so.
So I have to ask you the obvious question.
Sure.
What does it cost these high school kids to get involved in this program? Because college comes with an expense.
It absolutely does. Yes. And so for the students that are part of Duggan, they actually don't pay anything because between the partnership with the state and then for the previous 2 years before that, Duggan invested in this because they believed in the value that getting a college education, earning college credits, helping shrink the amount of time and potential debt that a student has to have. They really invested heavily in. And so we were able to bring those students in and kind of have them be students. And then there wasn't this additional cost that was incurred or passed on to families. That also included things like textbooks and other supports that they might have needed.
Interesting. So the kids go through high school. They take advantage of this learning opportunity. Yep. They end up with credits at the end of the day.
Yep.
What do they do with those credits? Are they applicable to only AIC? Or are they applicable to, let's say a kid from Duggan says, you know what, I want to go to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. Yep. Are those credits transferable to other higher ed facilities?
Yes. The short answer is yes. We, of course, want all of those students to come and stay at AIC because we know we provide an amazing education where we're all doing about applied, intentional. We want you to be career ready. But we also know that students may want to look elsewhere, either a 2-year institution or a 4-year institution. So the classes that they're taking are highly transferable. So think introduction to the English, it's analytical writing and composition and skills.
So your core courses, basically?
It's a lot of core courses. As we start to get into more with Duggan in the partnership, students are taking introduction to criminal justice. They're taking introduction to health sciences or health professions. They're taking an introduction to education course. Again, courses that really, no matter where you go, they're going to be highly transferable.
Right.
And so what we've said from the beginning with this partnership with Duggan is that we'd love you to come to AIC, but we ultimately want to make sure, and we think it's our values, our mission, kind of what drives us. We also want to make sure you can go wherever your heart desires.
Do the credits that they achieve through the program as high school students, does it fast track them towards graduation? So rather than a senior graduating in May, would they be graduating in December? Do they earn enough credits or maybe even a year early?
So the way the program's structured is that right now, if they take, let's say, the English class, that will actually count for their 10th, 11th, or 12th grade English class, as well as getting them college credit. So in that way, they're able to double dip, take advantage of that. Some students are, of course, kind of on an accelerated path and taking more courses. And so there may be a chance for them, but it's really intended to kind of go and grow along with them so that they can finish high school.
So, and again, you think back to, you're exposed to it because you're on the college campus all the time. Even freshmen in college, sophomores in college, sometimes they don't know what they want to do. So now you talk about 3 specific cohorts. What happens if a kid changes? Or because that happens all the time.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I thought I wanted to be a high school English teacher when I went to college.
Well, you're close.
I'm close. I'm
you're
in
involved in
realm.
education.
But what we know is that on average, students change their majors between 4 and 7 times. So we know that folks are, what you think you might want to do right now may change. And so the great thing about the partnership with Duggan is that there's flexibility. Because they are taking what we call general education or core curriculum courses, there's lots of transferability for other campuses. But we've also said to them, look, if you want to change tracks, we might not be able to get you in every single class, but we'll do our best to make sure that we can have you take advantage of the pathways that are there.
Fantastic. I am here with Michael Dodge from AIC. We have plenty more to talk about. Stay with us. We're back in just a minute.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me today from American International College is Michael Dodge. He is a provost at the school right here in Springfield. And we're talking about programs that are getting high school kids exposed to college-level courses. Michael, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. It's a fascinating program. But again, and I've mentioned this a few times during our conversation, the nerves, the overwhelming experience that a high school kid would have. What are some of the ways that the university or the college, and I keep calling it a university, by the way, is minimizing that, kind of reducing that fearfulness of those high school kids?
Yeah. So, I think we as an institution were founded in 1885. I think that when we think about what we were founded on, it was really around making education accessible and making education available for kind of folks in the Commonwealth, but beyond. And so the good thing at AIC is that that's what we do every day. So providing the wraparound career advising supports and the tutoring and all of those pieces that help demystify. We often talk about this kind of hidden curriculum in higher education that students have to navigate. And it's the rules of the road of how do you navigate college. And for us, we believe in reducing barriers and eliminating those pieces. And so we're often talking about how do we provide really high quality tutoring, wraparound supports, and connection to campus and the amazing things that our students do every day. So we and those students who are part of the Duggan program, they get to come to campus for events on campus so that they can participate in student life. They're getting amazing support from their educators who are now our faculty. And so really, it is really helping them be able to be successful so they can see themselves at college.
So are these, we know that the high school calendar and the college calendar are similar but different. Yep. So are the high school students learning on the high school calendar, or do they take a January break? What's the learning schedule?
Yeah, so that is one of the challenges whenever we talk about dual enrollment programming, really anywhere, is the high school schedule versus the college schedule is different. But for us, because the classes are happening right at Duggan and they're happening on their time schedule, their time blocks, the students don't have to experience some of that. Okay. When they get to junior, senior status in high school and they're starting to take classes at AIC, we've started to have those conversations about, look, our semester starts a little bit differently. It starts a few days before or after yours starts. And we're working through those pieces so that for the students and their families, it feels seamless. Nice. So that they're really able to take this without a lot of the headaches. It's not like we're having to travel 25 minutes on public transportation, but really being able to provide that right there for them.
How can students get involved? Is this an active campaign by AIC, or is this something done at the high school? Or can somebody, I'm just thinking of other high schools, Pope Francis, can somebody from Pope Francis get involved? How do students learn about it and get involved?
Sure. So primarily it starts from the school districts and the schools reaching out. So as the provost, I am happy to work with any high school in the area to do a similar program and to have that happen because as we've said all along, this is what we were founded for and this is what we do well. And so it often starts with the principal or a superintendent reaching out. We've got other partnerships with other local high schools and charter schools that do much of the same and have a similar structure. So we are always happy to entertain kind of more kind of schools that might want to be a part of this.
Now, how many students, if you know or not, that have gone through the program eventually enrolled at AIC?
Sure. So we are just getting to the point where those folks that were freshmen 3 years ago, they're just becoming seniors now. And so we will see that in this go around of this admission cycle as they start thinking about. But that is some of the conversations we have with students is, hey, we want you to think about AIC. You might not have thought about a private school education, but we are right in the heart of Springfield.
And you're a local college to Springfield.
Absolutely. And so we can provide you all of that. We've got some amazing kind of grants and scholarships and loan options that make it accessible and affordable. And so for families that are thinking about that, reach out to us. We are happy to have some conversations. So, but as we get into more, Duggan, we hope to see students really matriculated and become AIC students.
Through that partnership, so you've got the school administrators and the school teachers. Are they looking at the student body and saying, you know what, this young man or woman, boy or girl, they could really benefit from this? Or is they just say, okay, who wants to sign up? How are you looking at specific individuals or specific families that maybe there's never been a college attendee in their family, that this is an opportunity sort of maybe break the cycle of poverty or the cycle of education to get them? How is that working?
So it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So the program at Duggan is open to all students. I think out of the freshman class this year that just started with early college, I think about 97% of them are participating in the early college program. So it is open to everybody. We don't believe in turning folks away. And so we see ourselves really around kind of access being core to who we are. And so we haven't put a lot of restrictions on it. We don't believe in shining only the brightest apples,
right.
But really wanting to provide an education for all.
And you know better than anybody, I opened this conversation with knowledge is power. Knowledge builds wealth. Absolutely. Is that part of what you talk to these families and students about? That, to become successful, you need to know things. Right. Is that part of the pitch, I guess?
I mean, yes, that is absolutely part of the pitch. I mean, education is, for those of us that got into the field as educators, we believe in the ability for education to really lift a tide that lifts all boats. It is the one thing that folks can't take away from you,
right.
Without getting too corny. But really, it is the piece of, like, for those of us that are educators, we care about our students. We want them to be successful, but we also know the life-changing impact that it has, not just on the students, but also their families,
the community,
their communities. Yeah. And so that's who AIC is, and that's been a cornerstone of this program. Whether it's coming in as an early college student from high school, we've got degree completion efforts for if you've gone somewhere and gotten some credits, all the way through to graduate education. We have an amazing teacher prep program. And so we see ourselves as kind of a cornerstone of education in not only Springfield, but also Western Mass, and really want to be able to serve our community.
If there's a parent or guardian watching this of a high school, where do they learn more information?
So you can absolutely reach out to me through the college's website. I'm happy to my cell phone and office and email are on everything. But it's michael.dodge@aic.edu. So if you throw a period in between the two names and an @AIC, you will get to me. You are also happy to call and reach out. Folks know how to get a hold of me, and we'd be happy to work with anybody.
Well, thank you so very much for joining me today and sharing. What an amazing opportunity for some high school kids. Good seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.